All right, let's talk about a tool that's probably sitting on your computer right now, Microsoft Excel. You know, most of us use it, but how many of us really master it? Today, we're going to look at that journey, how you go from just a mechanical user to a real strategic analytical powerhouse. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so the material we're looking at today kicks off with this really simple but kind of profound idea. It calls Excel a deterministic application. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, it just means it's a constant. It does exactly what you tell it to do every single time, no questions asked. Excel doesn't have off days, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't get creative, it just executes.
So that leads to a pretty big question, right? If the tool itself is a constant, if it's perfectly predictable, then what's the one thing that changes? What's the only variable in this whole equation? Well, it's you. It's your skill, your understanding, and your ability to tell that powerful tool what to do.
And that right there, that brings us to a place so many professionals get stuck. We're calling it the Excel plateau. You know that feeling? It's where you know the basics, but you just feel stuck. Deep down, you're only scratching the surface of what this thing can actually do.
And this feeling is captured perfectly by a student, Giovanni Chiluisa. After taking a course, he said, "Now I understand much better and no longer in a mechanical way." That phrase, no longer in a mechanical way, wow, that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's the difference between just, clicking the same buttons you've always clicked because you memorize them and actually understanding the why behind it all.
So, let's bring this back to you for a second. Look, you probably know how to make a list, right? Maybe use the sum function. But are you really using Excel to its full potential? Are you building things that drive real analysis, things that help make big strategic decisions? Or are you still kind of stuck in that mechanical mode?
Well, here's the good news. There is a clear path to bust right through that plateau. There's a way to go from just doing things by rote to actually mastering the tool and unlocking a whole new level of efficiency in your work.
And that path is laid out in a course from Xyclos Academy called the Microsoft Excel Intermedio Avanzado Empresarial course. It's designed from the ground up for professionals who really need to take their skills to the next level in a business setting. Now look, you don't have to take my word for how effective this thing is. Let's let the data do the talking. First up, we've got 74. That's the number of students who've actually taken the time to leave a review.
And what's their average rating? A perfect 5.0 out of 5.0. That's pretty incredible. But honestly, that's not even the most amazing part of the story.
Because it's not just an average. Take a look at this breakdown. Every single one of those 74 reviews is a 5-star review. There are 0 4 stars, 0 3 stars, nothing. I mean, think about that. Getting that kind of unanimous praise is, well, it's almost unheard of. It really tells you something about the quality here.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What do you get? It's a solid 32-hour course, and it's 100% online, so you can do it on your own time. The price is $140. But here's the part that really made me look twice. Direct tutor access. Actually getting to talk to someone, a real person, to get help for a course at this price? That's a huge, huge deal for learning online.
All right, so what are you actually going to learn? Let's peek inside the curriculum and see how it pulls off this kind of transformation.
So the whole point is to take you from before to after. You go from doing tedious manual data entry to automating all that stuff with macros. You'll level up from simple sums to using complex financial functions. And you'll leave behind basic, boring charts for truly interactive pivot tables and dashboards that make your data sing. Seriously, it's a total game changer for your workflow.
So at its core, you're going to master the functions that are really the bedrock of any business analysis. We're talking about moving way beyond just sum. You'll get into logical functions like if and, so you can build decision-making right into your spreadsheets. You'll master lookup functions. I'm looking at XLOOKUP, which lets you find stuff in massive lists in like a split second. Tasks that would take hours by hand. Plus, you get into key financial functions and even error handling to make your work totally bulletproof.
But listen, crunching the numbers is only half the story, right? You have to be able to show people what they mean. And that's what this part is all about. You'll learn to build these incredible dynamic charts that update themselves and use pivot tables to take a giant, scary spreadsheet and boil it down to a clear summary in just a few clicks. It's literally about turning a wall of numbers into a clear, compelling story that people can actually understand.
And finally, we get to efficiency and security. Think about all those repetitive, boring tasks you do every week. Well, you'll learn to record macros to automate them. We're talking about saving hours, literally hours of your life. And at the same time, you'll learn how to lock down your work, protecting your valuable data at every level, from a single sheet all the way up to the entire file.
So yeah, that's what the curriculum promises. But the real proof, as they say, is in the pudding. So let's hear from a few more of the students themselves about what this transformation actually felt like.
So Adon Tonado talks about the immediate real-world value. He says you acquire excellent and new knowledge, which is very useful in the professional field. And that's the key, right? This isn't just theory. It's stuff you can take and apply to your job, like the very next day.
And then there's Ivan Valarezo. He calls it a very well-structured course, which is great. But then he adds this critical part, with tutor support, always ready to solve any doubt. I mean, if you've ever felt totally lost and alone in an online course before, you know that having someone you can actually talk to is, well, it's a total game changer. And I love this last one from Miguel Condell Pozo. He talks about the learning process itself. He says, the mechanic of leveling up. I love it, because one can do them with the knowledge fresh. So it sounds like it's almost gamified. You learn something, and then you immediately apply it while it's fresh in your head. That's how you really make knowledge stick, not by just passively watching a bunch of videos.
Okay, so let's recap. We've seen the problem, that frustrating Excel plateau. We've seen the solution, a really well-structured, well-supported course. And we've seen the proof from the students who've been through it. So, what's your next step?
The path forward from here is actually pretty simple. Step 1, you visit Xyclos.online. Step 2, you enroll in the Excel Intermedio Avanzado Empresarial course. And step 3, you start that incredible transformation, going from someone who just uses Excel to someone who really leverages it as a powerful strategic tool.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Excel is a constant. It's this deterministic application with all this immense, untapped potential just sitting there on your computer. The only variable is you. So the only question left to ask is, are you ready to become the person who can finally unlock it?